Hello and welcome. My name is Sarah Sheldrick, and I am the instructor for our OL 632 class for Monday. There is two different sections of O632 this term, and there is a Wednesday synchronized lecture that is separate from this Monday section. I am only teaching the Monday section. There's a different instructor for the Wednesday class. So as I'm going through this video right now, which is the introduction to the course and what this, I affectionately call the silly video for the syllabus information, that there is two different sections. And if something comes up that doesn't really work for you to maybe explore, maybe you know someone in the Wednesday class or could email the instructor to get a comparison to see which one is the best fit for you. And that's what we need for you to have those. Actually, it's really unique that this term there's actually a choice. So if that's something that you want to take advantage of. All right, so to get started, welcome to Building Effective Teams. I see a lot of familiar names in the class. Hi, everybody. So good to see you. Uh, I do. I get really excited when I see those familiar names because I teach OL 612 and OL 633 as well. And some of you have already taken two classes from me. So a lot of the information in this class, some of it's unique to this class, and some of it is Get to Know Me Day, which some of you already know my style and a lot of the format that you expected in those other classes, you will also find in this class as well, with a few minor differences that I want to put emphasis on. And those I don't know if they're minor or not. I'll let you decide if they're minor differences. This is a synchronized Zoom class. That means that we are scheduled to meet every single Monday of the term from 5:30 to 7:20 in a synchronized Zoom room, which you can find that information on our Canvas page. However, we will not meet every single Monday. I've listed out the dates that we will meet, and you can find that information in the Start Here module, or you can click on assignments because every Monday that we meet, it's worth points. And so I list the dates and the time in the name of the assignment. However, just to be aware that the due date for Oh, I'm so sorry that this is just a little different, but the due date for the assignment is at 9 p.m. because you are required to do a short written reflection of what we've done in class that is due right after class. So if you so I give till 9 p.m. for that, but of course I still have my familiar late policy for written work that if you want to turn it in the next day, you have about 24 hours to turn that in without any point penalty. But of course, you have to attend the class, participate in class, and turn in the written reflection to get the full points for each of those assignments. And I'll talk a little bit about it, attendance for a synchronized lecture class. So if I click, I'm just looking at our Canvas page right now. So if you want to follow along, um, if you're using an iPad or your phone with the Canvas app on it, then it is a little bit different to navigate Canvas. The app is different than the desktop version. And maybe you've already noticed that I do design the class for a desktop. And that's what my expectation is as I design the website. So if you are using the iPad or the phone Canvas app, you will have to navigate yourself. It doesn't automatically navigate to the overview page that is for each week in the module. So be sure to jump into that overview page for the general information of what's happening that week or for that module. That's just a little other tech tip tech tip as dealing with Canvas. But right now I am looking, because in the silly video, of course, we want to know what the assignments are. So I'm just looking at that assignment page right now. Class participation, and those, if you are in the assignment tab on a desktop, you can see at the very top of the page, it's when it opens up by what it's due by date. And so everything's kind of all mixed up together. But if you go to the very top of the page and you click by type, usually on the right hand, there's a little toggle by date or by type. You can see the way the class is organized and how the grades are weighted. So I group assignments by type, and then each group is weighted for your final grade. So class participation is its own group, and that's where you'll see the class days, and we meet at 5:30 on Zoom. If you open up the first one that's available for week 1, because we're meeting on September 30th, Monday at 5:30 to get ourselves going right out of the gate, that you'll see the Zoom link available. You'll see expectations for the outline of what might be covered in a class. If I have something specific like come to class prepared to discuss a certain video or topic or a question that I might have, I will pop it right into that assignment for the day that it will be relevant for to come for class prepared. So when it says that the class, be sure to open it whatever your prep time, hopefully not 5 p.m. before class starts at 5:30. I don't want anyone to come into class with their adrenaline on high, to give yourself a little time if there's something that is asked for you to prepare specifically for that specific lecture day. So I see 5 classes required. It's a 10-week class, so we meet synchronized half the time, 5 classes, and those dates are listed there. So go ahead and take note of that. And also note that you can miss one class and have it excused. If you, and you do not have to email me. Please don't email me. My email is full to the brim. And if you miss a class, you've missed a class. And if it's the very first time you've missed a class, I will mark it as excused, and you get the grace of privacy and the grace of getting one class missed without any penalty to your grade at all. Please take good care of that. That is a precious, precious absence. This also counts if you only come to class for partial time. Like, let's say you can only make it for the first 30 minutes of a class, or if you come in over 5 to 10 minutes late to a class, this also you will be counted as attending. But over 10 minutes of coming in late, you will be counted as an excused uh, class. So we need to work out the nuance of that, but your timeliness of attending and not leaving early, but being there till the point of the class being dismissed is part of getting the full points for the day. Okay. Let's see. Then you've missed two, let's say that a second one comes up. Maybe it's illness, maybe it's a family emergency, maybe it's something unexpected. The only true thing in the universe is to expect the unexpected. So here it comes, and you're on missing a second synchronized class. So for this one, you can do an alternative written assignment that for half the points. So you can still receive half the points for that day. You can't receive all the points just because this is a team building class and the emphasis is on how we show up and communicate and play well with others. So some of those points were for missing that group experience. And that's why you can make up half the points. Now, that is the grace for those first two there. When we get to a third or more missing of a synchronized Zoom for any reason at all, that would be receive a zero. That would receive a zero. And it also could affect the final grade. So when I compile final grades at the end of the term, I will take note of your attendance in your class participation and your overall participation in your team conversations that you're doing. And I might manually lower your grade and the final, as opposed to the grade that's automatically calculated in Canvas. So that is a risky endeavor when we're getting to a third out of 5 absences. So please take note of that as well. So I'm just going to be upfront about that from the very beginning so that you can make the choice that's right for you. If you know you are going to be hitting a really hard term in your job, if your family is coming up on something that is a unsure event, if you have responsibilities as an assistant coach or on a team that you are expected to create priority for, and then you might want to make a choice to take care of yourself and take care of this class by assessing the priorities of all of that together. I can't do that for you, but I do expect for you to take care of yourself and to take care of how you show up in the class. So that's why we just come right out of the gate with the expectation for a synchronized Zoom participation class. All right. There is other elements of this class, but I'm going to jump first next to the module page and the way it's designed. So some of you have already taken a class from me, so you're going to open up that module page and you're going to go, oh, I look like I'm in a Sheldrick class, right? So it should look familiar if you're new to me and are need help navigating the more nuanced way to navigate my Canvas design, and then let's jump on a call. I'm available. The very first module is the Start Here module, and that has a lot of information about expectations and responsibilities. It has information about Western Oregon University. It has information about the organizational leadership program. You can almost think of it as the syllabus broken down into pages, even though there is a syllabus late work policy page as well, individually broken out. Uh, so in this, Sarah's contact information. Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm opening that page right now in the Start Here module. You will see ways to contact me. So let's talk about communication. I am teaching primarily online this term, so that means I'm sitting right here at my home office. That's where I'm recording my lectures and will be Zooming from most of the time, except for special circumstances. But I'm mostly here. That means I'm available quite a bit, especially in the hours from 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. Monday through Friday and I can sometimes make exceptions for an evening office visit if that is really the only time because of job and other responsibilities that you can meet with me, except of course Monday at 5:30 where I'm on those specific days where I will be, where I'll be. I'll be in the Zoom room. Uh, so for the other way, so we can jump on a phone call if you feel comfortable with that. If we do that, I don't like to use the Zoom phone. So it's an app. You might use this or have experience with it, but I don't really feel comfortable with the Zoom phone. And if you leave a message or SMS me, send me a message on the Zoom phone, it doesn't catch my attention very readily. It is quite a whole nother thing for me to click into that, and I don't get notifications on it. So I really don't encourage you to use that at all. I post it there because it is my official Western contact. But even a chat in Google in our Gmail, our Western Oregon University Gmail, you're going to catch my attention a lot faster if you have a quick question you just want to chat to me, or you may contact me on my mobile device if you would like to. You can text me a message, and if and when I can, that's a great thing if we can jump into a Zoom room to have us, even if it's just a 5-minute conversation, texting me first or texting me that you want to jump on a phone call. That's another way to grab my attention pretty quickly. I do keep my notifications on silence when I'm recording, like I am now, or I'm in a meeting, or I am working on my dissertation and I'm in the writing zone. Then I sometimes will silent notifications, and I usually check that as soon as I finish with those activities. So those are great ways to get a hold of me in a more immediate way. However, when I think of that as needing an immediate way to get a hold of me, that's usually for a quick question like, hey, I'm working on this assignment and you said this, but then you said this. Which one is it? Like, are you clarifying about just an instruction? Are you hoping something could open up on Canvas and it's locked up, and you need something? Like, I'm just trying to like kind of riff on what I think might be a reason for a more informal way of contacting me immediately through chats or DMing me. But for if you feel like the message is more formal, and this is something we're learning, in communication, we want to like really gauge informality to formality. And if you feel like you have a much more formal email, the urgency on it is more the 24-hour business cycle or Monday the next week, then go ahead and send me an email. That is great. Uh, I will answer those as I see them when I do, or on first thing on Monday morning. I usually don't check my emails on the weekends. This is a Monday through Friday access that I'm talking about in general, especially about Friday afternoon to Sunday afternoon. I might check things on a Sunday just to see what's coming up, but you probably will not be able to get a hold of me from about Friday's sundown, which is like really early in the winter, to Sunday. Those are usually my times that I do for well-being and family and taking care of myself. Okay, so that's about contacting me. Let's go back to that Start Here module. There's an accessibility statement. Oh, let's talk about the textbook and readings for this class. So I grab chapters out of a lot of different books when I teach group communication. So if it's a chapter out of a book, I've listed some of the books I might be using in this page in the Start Here module, so you can kind of glance down and see what's influenced me in the way I designed the class. And when I have chapters, they're usually coming from these type of books. So maybe you have a couple of them. If not, no worries. I will post a PDF of the single chapter I will want you to read for the week to put emphasis on a topic. But we do have a required book for this class, and it is more graduate level textbook style book. It's called Difference Matters, Communicating Social Identity. And this really comes to my primary design of this team building class. If I had a nickname for our OL 632 class, I would call it Finding the I in Team. As a play on the cliche, there is no I in team. But I kind of like to flip it a little and say, actually, there is an I in team. And that's one of the ways we're going to approach how we understand how we show up ourselves and acknowledge our differences and our strengths and our contributions in teams and how we blend, right? Even when we blend, we should be able to still see our own identity. And that's like when we're getting to the core of what is collaboration. So this book's Difference Matters, Communicating Social Identity is by Brenda J. Allen. Brenda J. Allen, actually, if you just kind of want to learn about the author, you could put her name into YouTube, and there are a couple of videos. She is a dean of a, is she a dean? Actually, I don't want to misrepresent Dr. Allen's identity uh, title, but she comes from a communication background, and I'm a communication background, so it's no accident that this book has landed in my class. And I've used this book as a student, and then I've used it several times as a professor. And what I like about the book is that it talks about social identity. And when we recognize our own social identity and we make room for other identities and try and understand what they are, um, and take responsibility for coming to groups, to teams, or other social interactions with a better understanding. We make room to move beyond stereotypes, labels, and other things that often get in the way of us being productive. Um, and it can, well, we're going to talk about what it can do. That's what we're going to do this whole class. I have a lot of ideas about why that's important, but I can't wait to hear your ideas about that. That means that if you look at the content of this book, we start with power, and I like how each chapter is echoes difference matters, and then it says power matters, gender matters, race matters, sexuality matters, ability matters, all of the social class matters, age matters. These are all things that are really relevant in, um, uh, and I like the way she isolates each topic. Now, through the course, as this is a thread to the course, and when we are meeting in teams or when we are meeting in class, this will be a chance for us to flush out the things that really stood out to us uh, in the and contribute to our understanding of transformative collaboration. So, transformative collaboration, just to make a note about that, is when conflict uh, gets to the point of collaboration, and collaboration is a type of conflict. I'm looking at you, my OL 612 students, who should hopefully have some grasp on this already, that collaboration is a type of conflict, but when it becomes transformed into collaboration, it doesn't look like a conflict anymore. And that is the true meaning of win-win-win. But we're going to get deep into that as we move through the course. I can't wait to, and I actually have to say, I'm really excited about the synchronized lectures because obviously sometimes I'm just sitting in this room alone talking, and I always want to go, what do you think? Any questions? Any examples? Is this bringing up anything? Does someone, like I just want to be in that dialogue. And The 5 meetings we have, it really matters to me that you're showing up ready to participate and dialogue about these things so we can really use the opportunity to move into a deeper understanding and take advantage of the differences of the people in the class that are coming in. Okay. Do, 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 do. So we talked about the book. I'm going back to the Start Here module. So for our silly video here, I do have a couple of tabs about class norms, Zoom meetings. These are things that are used in all my classes. There's a few differences that I add because we're synchronized. So if you've taken my class before, this will look really familiar, but just do a quick glance and see about information about the way we show up in class. In this class, I will be covering nonverbal communication with more depth than I've done in any of my graduate level classes. I think there are actually a couple students that are from undergrad communication programs. So you might have a background in nonverbal communication studies and research, but I'm going to bring a little bit more of that into this class. So your nonverbals count, how we do our frame for digital communication, how do we show up as a listener when in digital formats. That'll be something we should be practicing. We should be using our synchronized class time. We should be using our team recorded team meetings as a way to demonstrate that we are in the lab of how to manage nonverbals. Okay. There is another tab that I've included in this class in the Start Here module called the Content Outline. And the Content Outline is a new feature that I am using in my classes to give you a tentative overview of the topic. So usually you can kind of scan down on the modules, even if they haven't opened, and get some idea of what might be coming up. But this is to give you more depth of a preview. And it does list the chapters from our book for when those readings are required for which weeks. So, for example, this week, week 1, I do not expect you to have the book yet. We read our first chapter next week in week 2. So going to the bookstore or finding an online resource and you get about a week to get that book and get ready for that class when we're going to dive right into the book. But this week, go to the overview page for the readings that are required for week 1. I've set up the PDF files there for access for you. Uh, and also, actually, week 2, I will put up the very first chapter of Dr. Allen's book. Uh, but after that, I will not have PDFs from this book available. You do need to get a hold of this, or hey, maybe you can share a book with people in your team or in the class and work together if you don't feel like you all can afford the book. Let's be a team together and help access for everyone. Okay, so if someone finds a PDF, this also comes as a second edition. You might be able to find the second edition cheaper. You know what? I don't know what's changed from edition 2 to edition 3. So, but the publishers are supposed to be transparent about what changes were made. So maybe you can go to the publishing website, and if you get the second edition, it's still outlined exactly the same. I'm sure some of the language is updated, especially because we're constantly linguistically changing how we're talking about race and gender. And this third edition, I was really excited when it came out because in a post-COVID world, which is a hat, which is a po we are now in the wave of hashtag Me Too movements, the George Floyd, and the LGBTQ plus community. These things have made huge impacts in our society and linguistic changes, and I'm sure Dr. Allen has incorporated those changes into this book. So that's why I encourage you to get the third edition. But I think if you can only afford, if the second edition is available and that is a better choice for you economically, then let's figure out a way to make that work as well. Okay, so we talked about the content of the class. We are going to talk about social identity. As I already talked about, we're going to talk about power. I am going to talk about how to be persuasion. I'm going to go a lot more into persuasion, which is the dynamics for groups is really important on that because of group. We can easily fall into group think. Some people lose their voice in groups intentionally or unintentionally. Like some people choose to silence themselves, and we want to kind of get into the difference between advocacy, uh, social pressures, personality like introvert, extroversion, and we also want to explore how these institutional systems and labels impact the way we show up when we are trying to be a productive player in team dynamics. Uh, when week 5, it says collaboration and group economics. This is really, we're going to use economic language like costs and benefits and outcomes, uh, basically shared costs and what that looks like in group dynamics and the way that we perceive our contributions compared to the way other people are contributing, and how do we value contribution. And we're going to use economic theory, linguistic language to kind of explore uh, how we manage resources and uh, how do I want to say it? Shared. Uh, hmm, I want to get the language right for this, but basically that the difference between equal and equity will come up here, and how we value contributions, whether they're tangible or intangible. There, I got there. Okay, yes. So that's what will happen week 5. Week 6, there's the nonverbal. We're going to talk about proxemics, kinesics, and environment. Basically, how to set up an environment. This is where we might dive into what happens at Pixar. Pixar is really conscious about even the way they designed their building. So there wasn't a hierarchy where, oh, there's the top floor and the elevator. You need the code in the elevator to get to it. How they kind of are squashing the hierarchy, even if there's a power structure, so that you would have access to the most powerful person in the building, even if you and so we're going to talk about environments and space design, the way space is designed, including how we might design a conference if we were in person, or digital communication like Zoom rooms, which we will be in, which I will have lots to say about that as we have all been through the COVID experience. So something to think about. Week 7 is relational dynamics and group segmentation. So, relational dynamics is this idea of uh, what our expectations are of how we show up, what we're expecting and what we're expecting from other people. And there's usually a conflict of tension that polarizes us because I'm expecting us to meet. And you want more autonomy, and you want someone else may want more autonomy, and I don't want to be accountable to this. And I mean, there's just, to tell you the truth, we're going to explore 9 different tensions that cause conflict in relationship systems. And this, because of these conflicts, this is where the we them dynamic can sometimes pull us apart and cause uh, this is when we get those small groups forming that of unrest and rebellion or sabotage to the organization, or if you're, especially if you have a management position and you're having trouble getting everyone to work together as a team, and you know that there are these little conversation bubbles happening that are sabotaging that work you're trying to do. So we're going to talk about relational dialectic tensions. Week 8, navigating complexity. This is when we're going to get back into David Snowden and his. We're not going to do the full Cynefin framework. I'm just saying that for my students that I've traumatized in OL 633 with the Cynefin framework. But we do need to look at when we're problem solving, are we talking about a complex problem versus a complicated problem? And we're going to use the definitions from David Snowden's work and the frameworks, and that will be listed there. Week 9, which is our last week of content, is emotional intelligence and leadership. And really, this is just really looking at the critical roles of how we are self-regulating emotions. This is a big topic in the OL 612 class I teach, and we just touch on it here, but it's a good reminder. And because I have definitely been in the workplace, not just in academia, I've done it in the workplace, sitting in meetings where I had no power about the way that meeting was run or the direction we were going in, and really looking at how do you show up in those situations for self-care, and how can you show up as a leader even if you don't have the management position of power. So that's kind of how we tweak that week here. Okay, that's the content of the class. We've got that covered so you can kind of get that overview. And like I said, you can navigate to that start here page, content outline, it's called, to get more information, or just read what I just said. All right. I'm trying to think. Again, I feel like we have covered a lot of the silly week information. We're going into true community. I'm really hoping that you've had a chance to watch this video before 5:30 p.m. That's why I'm releasing the content of this class early so that you have a time to acclimate yourself for what's coming up. When we go into week 1, true community, I'm really excited about this module to really set us up for the ideas of what is inclusion, what does community mean, why is it problematic, why doesn't it always work, and really kind of let's get our little um, angst out about group work, because this class has some team meeting group work assignments. So those of you who've taken this class before, you've had team meetings where you're just basically kind of discussing and reflecting the content. There is a little bit of that in the recorded team meetings for this class, but then every team meeting actually has an assignment as well. And there's 3 team meetings through the term. Again, I will assign your teams. The all about you deliverable that is due the very first week of class. Really take some time to let me get to know you. Some of you I know a bit already, but really take some time with that because I will use some of the way that you have reflected in that All About You assignment as I develop the teams moving forward. So I'm very deliberate about how I build teams in this class. So really take some time with it. Hmm. Okay, so for just the last thing about the assignments that are coming up, because I didn't cover all of the assignments, those team conversations. That when I say there's an assignment, you will have to come to that meeting a little bit prepared for your contribution to the problem to solve. And I don't make them global problems. We are using this as a lab assignment for how to build consensus. Um, and these things feel like really big problems when you have relationships that are have communication issues, like how to choose the movie for movie night, which is your first meeting assignment, choosing a movie. And when that assignment opens up, you'll get more information about the context of what's happening in there. You do have to move towards consensus and for each of these assignments. Uh, However, if there is a dissent opinion, I will expect you to be transparent about any dissent opinion and write and have everyone should be clear on why there was a dissenting opinion, even if we are moving towards consensus. So we want to kind of explore that problem solving technique in these little mini labs. The, the other is we will have a couple of discussion boards. Discussion boards are really just a way to play around with what topics we're covering in class. I like to add a lot of pop culture references, movie references. That in the All About Me, you are going to list what streaming you have available. We're going to build a Spotify playlist together of things like this. So as a class, we're also we have sub teams, but then as a class, we have to work together as a team on those discussion boards. So we're up layered there. And then there's a couple of written assignments, which are called the weekly reports. We we only do 3 of them through the term tentatively at this point, and that's just for me to see what is standing out for you from module to module. And I guess that brings me to the very last point I want to make. So I put up several videos, I put up a podcast. We have readings, we have articles, we have a book. There's a lot of content in this class that can become extremely overwhelming. However, I do expect you to interact with the class based on your level of interest. If there's something that you were reading that you really were engaged with, and then you see a video about that topic and want to do the deeper dive and get into the video on that. If you're not a podcast listener, then click on the link and scan the transcript to get an idea of what it was about. Uh, Make the class your own is what I'm saying. If there's a topic or a video that doesn't look interesting, you're starting it, you kind of move the scrub bar, you're like, okay, I get the idea, but I don't really want to do the deep dive on it, then don't. Uh, if something is that I really, really need you to focus on, like for that we will review this video in class, that will be in the class assignment or in the team meeting notes. And those will be the ones that would be like ultimately required, of course. But please make the class your own. All right, I look forward to this term and I look forward to talking with you all. Have a great term. Bye-bye.